Hey there. We've got the model posed, okay, the anatomy figure posed. We've got her grouped, got her roughly posed, and you can see I've kind of broken it off to the side there. Scale is by no means accurate at all in terms of human to horse. Okay, this is a gigantic human, or it's a incredibly tiny horse. But anyways, we've got them in a rough position. Now we need to go in and start to adjust them. So sometimes we're going to be able to adjust, say, the upper arm as a unit. Sometimes we're going to have to adjust just the skeleton and move from there. I don't actually know what's going to work best. So let me just press Control Z to move that back into the center. And what I want to do is start with the trunk of the body. So let's start with the pectoralis, the rib, not so much the spine. I mean, really, we should start with the spine. In fact, we are going to start with the spine. So I can turn solo off and transparency back on, and you know the drill. You've been through it, right? Ilium, great trochanter, ischial spine. Okay, there's that 5 sacral vertebrae, then the caudal vertebrae as the tail picks up. Then we get the lumbar heading down. Okay, the thoracic heading down. The cervical coming up with this beautiful S shape up to the top of that horse head. Okay, really important to kind of keep that in mind all the way up at the top. So we're not far, it's just a matter of straightening things out and giving us our little curlicue. So, best tool, move brush. Make sure symmetry is on. I turned it off to move the model. That's exactly what happened last time too. Okay, and then also with the hip, I'm going to do these in large movements. You know, that sacrum. And they have more vertebrae than we do. They've got more ribs than we do. Something like 17, I think. So you got to take that into account, but I'll leave that up to you. What I want to do is just get my dorsal spines with accuracy. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's C7 right there, people. Okay, and I already know that the horse neck vertebrae are actually going to be quite huge. So I have no problem with what I'm doing right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I count them every time, because that's just the kind of math geek I am not. Well, wrong key. 3, 2, and 2, and there we go. Dorsal spine. Thoracic 1, thoracic 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look, we have a spine in there to follow with as well. Okay, I like it. All right. Pretty cool. Okay. Dun 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 dun. All right, let's get in there and get our neck. So it might be hard to select C7, but it's not too hard if you think like a ZBrushиan. Okay, just mask that little guy out, and then come into your polygroups, and I'm just going to say group masked. And now that guy should be his own piece. Let's do that again. Group masked. Idiot. Group unmasked. There we go. One of these days, they're going to let me play with the big boys. So I'll just mask that one out, hide that. In fact, this is troublesome. I'm going to hide that one, mask that, group masked. There you go. Now the cervical neck should be a separate piece. Should be. Keeps doing that weird thing. Okay, kept it. Okay, 7 of them. Rotate. Be good to clear that mask. Okay, let's also come in and let's go to, do we want to do topological? Doesn't work in the way I would like, but let's try it. Let's go into move parts. Did they keep that in the interface? Move elastic? No. Go to Lightbox, brush, move brushes. Let's try move parts. And I just double check. Yes, it has topological there. Make the draw size very large. Okay. Focal shift. Boom. Boom. Dunk. 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 Okay, that's axes, and that's that atlas. Axes is a really kind of an extraordinarily long bone. All right, we need some size. Not a problem. Not a problem. A problem for lesser people, not us. Control, click, and drag. Okay. And move these guys around. You can also just spend time rotating them. And then try using just a normal move. Pull them back and forth like that. Something I think can be quite successful. And it keeps you in the sculpting mode. Okay, I'm not trying to get 100% faithful here. There's not much of a dorsal spine there. There's not much of a dorsal spine on any of these guys, but let me just match what I know. Okay. Okay, fit that in. Okay. Okay, now they're going to have a different arrangement, a different shape than the rest of the spine. Okay, that's just their nature. They have a different shape, but we don't need to get into that shape. You can do it if you want, but we don't really need to get into that. We're just going to position these guys. So we have the spine. Okay, that was what we said, the first thing. So let's come in and let's confirm. that we have the spine. Okay, the sacrum I'm going to get. You can get it now if you want, but it's going to just be moved and stretched and adjusted. Since we have move parts, we can actually do a bit of that now. Start to rotate that down. Switch to the normal move brush. That move parts is going wacko. There. Just want some indicator of those 5 sacral vertebrae there. Good deal. Spine is done. What do we want to position next? In this case, we got 2 choices. What distracts us the most, and what would help us the most. Just getting rid of the distracting thing is a variant of what would help us the most. I'm going to move the head. Partly because I love this. And that means that from now on when we do this, it's just going to look cool. I mean, that just looks cool to have that head hanging out up there. Alright, what's going to be next? Okay, what might help the most is actually if we start working on limbs and then we build the chest out. I'm going with the flow here. I'm not confident. I haven't been confident which one I wanted to do first. But I think now that for sure getting these limbs positioned, head of the humerus, I'm going to rotate that humerus back in space. I'm going to drag out a line that's basically along those lines. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Clear it, and then let's just get the lower limb, front limb, forelimb, ulna. And then I already know that the ulna is taking a small size hit. Okay, we'll have to move that in. Probably should have moved it in the beginning. And we're also getting some flattening from the kind of scaling that we're doing. But don't let stuff like that bug you. Just work from this view for now. And we're going to select these guys, the metatarsals, tarsals, phalanges, and really, they're on their own. So really, these guys are just going to be kind of on their own, hanging out there. And let's move them forward, because we're gonna adjust the radius and the ulna separately. And then let's really stretch them out. I want to be careful, because remember, that's your carpal mass. It's a metacarpal, just one, and that's a phalange. Okay, so carpal mass is pretty much okay. Metacarpal really needs to get long, and the phalanges really need to get short. So it's not a proportional scaling job per se here. So it's a little bit different. So I'm going to do an in-between. roughly scale it, and then use move, and that's going to automatically shorten everything. And of course we're going to be doing some merging in as well. So don't worry about that. Okay, so that's my one view there. Let's invert that, and I'm going to take this radius and ulna, and the ulna is going to get moved in along with everything else. Because the ulna really does this, it's really dipping back because it's got that like hammer-like effect going on in there. There's this strong form that pulls back like that. Okay. So from a front view or side view, we're largely set. Okay. Now let's do the same thing from a side view for the hind limbs and get them working, and then we'll move into a front view. So move, great trochanter, scale it in. Okay, that automatically scales everything. That's fine because we're going to use inflate to bring everything back to life. Okay, let's focus on the hind limb. There we go. And that foot. I can't emphasize enough how much you just really don't want to get caught up in how ugly any of it is, because all of this gets fused. I am adjusting the rotation from this view though. And if you want, you can inflate it back to life a little bit. Tarsal, mass, all that, and then long metatarsals. And little phalanges, or phalange. Back and forth, back and forth. And this is going to start that process of merging these guys. So I'm going to give you a little quick primer on how crazy simple it is to merge these muscles or bones. Okay. Okay. You see all that craziness? Very thin metatarsals, stretched out tarsal mass, phalanges that look like they've just gone wrong. Come in with the inflate brush and inflate them into one mass. One mass, just like essentially what nature did. It's just inflated them into one mass so they're no longer differentiable. They were just a mass of bone. Pretty cool. Okay, now you can come in and adjust this back and forth a little bit, and you can add some of the more specific bony characteristics. You could Dynamesh this and get more specific edging in places. You know, that would just completely remove any of the separation between these guys and do pretty much what you need it to do. That's absolutely a valid way that you could go about this. No complaint there. Okay. But it's of course it's not really relating at this point to the rest of the musculature. That was kind of a preemptive look at what we're going to do with the rest. So keep in mind, we've got a lot more work to do. Let's do this. I'm going to go into solo. Alright, it's a big mess. Focus on the side view. This is 20 minutes. Really want you to focus on the side view and get the limbs and the neck and the head lined up. I'm going to switch to the front view and then get the limbs lined up and then switch to the torso.